4TS, it was just unveiled by JCB. I brought you a video back in the spring with my predictions on what I thought was coming to the market, and boom, there it is. We're gonna jump in, we're gonna dive into the specs of this new JCB Teleskid 4TS high horsepower. All right here, everything's on paper, we got it. We're gonna dive in exactly what this machine has inside of it, what it's capable of, what the numbers say, and compared to the 3TS. Is this thing a big improvement? We're gonna go through it right now. I'm Bobby J, welcome back to the channel. Like I said, I brought a video in the spring, one of the first ones on YouTube, talking about the new 4TS and what all the information I had gathered, what I thought the JCB was gonna bring to the market. And it appears what was leaked here and there on the internet is pretty much what the machine is. And there's a few extras with this thing that has caught me by surprise as a 3TS owner that works the snot out of this, running a mulching head and all kinds of different things. I am pretty impressed on what I'm seeing with this new 4TS. So let's jump into it right away. So the first thing is the horsepower, right? They're calling this the high horsepower Teleskid, is my understanding. We're gonna dive right into that. So the first thing is, it is using the same 4.4 liter inline 4 engine that's in the 3TS and a lot of their equipment. It's a good engine, they use it in a lot of stuff, but it is at 109 horsepower and 380 foot-pounds. That is big power. Now the horsepower, okay, nothing to brag about, but again, just like the 3TS bringing 298 foot-pounds and a 74 horse package, you're talking 380 foot-pounds. That right there is unmatched in the industry today on torque alone. Now, no word on, I don't see anything about DEF, but you pretty much have to assume this machine is full emissions. Yes, I know in the political climate, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Now, maybe if this was 2026 or even 2027, maybe we would see something different, but in today's climate, still with the way everything is in place, I'm sure this machine is going to be full emissions. Like I said, no mention of DEF on it, but highly likely you'll be pouring DEF into this machine. Now let's jump into the hydraulics, the next just about as important category as the horsepower. We are looking at standard flow, 24 gallons, high flow, 33, super flow. I like it. 42.3 gallons. Damn. And main relief pressure, 4,061 PSI. I want to talk about that for a second. Now, I'm no hydraulic expert. I'm just a dumb old farm boy that's ran a lot of equipment, okay? But watching what the people that do know a lot about hydraulics and what they put in machines that are huge hydraulic demanding machines, pressure is your friend. You look at big dedicated machines like Prime Tech, Lamb Track that are forestry, grinding, son of a guns, big pressure. We're talking 5, I think even 6,000 PSI in some of those machines. So obviously more pressure is going to be better. And I am really happy to see, because the 42.3 gallons, nothing to really brag about. I mean, hey, it puts you right in there with Cap Performance, right in there with Takeuchi on the flow, 41, 42, 40 plus gallons, right? But the 4,000 PSI, that, like I said, happy to see that. That is going to push these mulching heads, those cold planers, these big oil demanding heads that are popular on these machines. That is really going to help with the performance. Quicker is the bottom line. Very impressive. I would have been happy, like I said in my spring video, hey, if it would have been basically this at 3,500 PSI, I would have been happy to see this at 4,000 plus PSI. Kudos JCB, that gets you definitely way out there in the competitive range. Now the next thing is the capacities on this machine. This was kind of interesting. I actually predicted this machine would be heavier. I said it'd be 13,500 to 15,000 pounds. It's supposed to come in right at 13,000 pounds exactly. And you know what? Sounds good to me. Here's the deal on that. You're basically a little over 500 pounds heavier than the 3TS. The 3TS can push just straight up dirt work, pushing. You can push with the 3TS basically as good as any of the machines in the 12,000 pound capacity. Maybe a little bit more horsepower with some of them. Maybe you can push that dirt a little bit faster, but bottom line, shoving weight, this machine weighs close to 12.5 with no bucket on the front. So well, my point is, you already got a heavy machine that this is kind of somewhat based off of. You make the assumption 13,000 pounds, you got another 500 pounds of weight for pushing power. But on the other hand, trailering, you don't have a 14.5. Big machines like the Case 620, the Case Minotaur 550, those are heavy machines. And if you start getting attachments stacked up on that trailer, man, you can get a lot of weight. If you don't have your hauling gear up to snuff, it's gonna be a tougher machine to get around as a bottom line. Now, lifting capacities. We couldn't get one more pound, huh? 3,999 pounds at 35% is the lifting capacity on this 4TS. Hey, I'm happy with that. That sounds good to me. That's definitely an improvement over the 3TS, which has some pretty impressive lifting capacities of its own at 3695. I mean, that is extremely competitive, not beating out a lot of machines in the 100 horse capacity just with the 74 horse 3TS, right? Now, what's interesting, the 3TS, we've got our lifting capacity extended 1347. The 4TS can pick up 1878 fully extended. Dang, I mean, that's more weight than smaller compact track loaders, small machines, 60 horse machines. That's more than some of them can even pick up at 35% in the first place. Now, here's some interesting numbers. Let's talk about the new boom on the 4TS. They're saying it's beefier than the 3TS, which is not a surprise. But one of the biggest things is this thing, okay, the 3TS, 13 feet, 3 inches. Fully extended all the way up in the air as high as you can reach. And I use that. That is the single thing about the 3TS that brought me into the Teleskid idea. That right there, I don't think I can live without it. And I mean, I am actually very impressed with what JCB just did. 15 feet. That is tall. That's by far, no skid steer can come anywhere close to lifting that high. If you have a lot of forklift work, reaching out, job sites, doing things where you're reaching out, I can't tell you, if you've never ran a Teleskid, once you have that feature, it is so hard to go without it. Even when you're doing dirt work, you know what? You're reaching out to dump dirt in a certain spot you can't quite get to with it reached in, boom, you're right there. I love it I run a tree grapple on this machine a lot. I love it because I can grab on a tree and I can keep it away from the cab of the machine. When I'm dragging it around, I keep the branches out of the tracks, I keep the branches out of the windshield, I keep the tree off of the machine. That is a nice thing. Stacking burn piles, man, you can make one heck of a stack. Stacking dirt, stacking burn pile, whatever. Making a stack of whatever, right? You can really make that quite a bit taller having that higher reach. And 15 feet, as I said, very impressive on that overall. Now, the other thing, not only that, why does it go 15 feet? The reason is because the 3TS extends out 3 feet, 10 inches. The reach on this new 4TS, 4 feet, 7 inches. This is all going off of the specs off of JCB's website. That's a lot for, that's 9 more inches of reach. I mean, you think that that's not really all that much, but it is. Obviously, it equates when you're going up to another over 1.5 feet. Next up on the dimensions, it is a little bit longer. This machine is overall length 13 feet 2 inches, 12.547. So we're 9. It appears 9 inches longer overall from nose to tail. You know, it's a bigger machine. That's the bottom line. When you got that, really adds up is when you are sure maybe you're in your tight job site, but the main place where I see your overall length being important is real estate on the trailer, man. When you're trying to haul multiple machines or multiple attachments, space gets eaten up fast on a trailer. But we're 9 inches longer. That's just what it is. Overall height, I find this one really interesting because the 3TS has a height of 6 feet 11 inches, which is pretty low profile for a machine of this size, which for me as a farmer doing orchard work, it was also one of the selling points for me. Low profile, getting down those lanes within the orchard and coming in contact with the least amount of brush and branches possible. Now, what they are claiming on the 4TS, they're claiming 6 feet 6 inches. Smell a rat on that one. I don't know. I mean, this stuff just hit as of yesterday. I don't know. This would be interesting to see. I'm going to go see one of these in person as soon as my local dealer that I purchased this machine from has one in stock. I'm going to it. I'm very skeptical of that. 6 feet 6 inches. That would be 5 inches shorter. That doesn't seem right to me, but hey, I don't know. That's what the number is that I've got here. And the 400T, which is the non-Teleskid version, which who cares about that, but that one they're claiming 6'10". So again, a little bit confused on that. Width, this one caught me by surprise. I said that the new 4TS would be wider. It's actually narrower. It appears that the 4TS is actually 2 inches narrower according to the spec sheet. So that's an interesting deal. Now, I want to jump back over to that horsepower aspect. I want to show you something that I find a little bit interesting going over all of this. Okay, now, 3TS has a fuel tank size of 27 gallons and a coolant capacity of 5.8 gallons. Also 14.5 gallons on the hydraulic tank. The 4TS has a fuel tank capacity of 27.3 gallons, an engine coolant capacity of 5.8 gallons, and a hydraulic system of 14.5 gallons. Oil is a little bit increased at 4 gallons straight up versus 3.7 on the 3TS. Now, are you seeing what I'm seeing with that? I find that interesting because I've always said, if I haven't said it on camera, I've always said, at least to myself, talking to myself, the 3TS is about 5 gallons too short on fuel, the tank size. I wish it held about another 5 gallons. That'd give you what, another hour and a half run time approximately. When you're running the high flow, she eats up the fuel fast. And unfortunately out here in the communist land of California, we have to run the junk R99. Don't let anyone tell you about cetane or whatever that is. The bottom line is there's less BTUs in R99, and that you lose over ULSD, you lose about 10-15% in fuel efficiency. So I go through fuel just that much faster. So back to that 4TS, it's the same fuel tank. Make sure you bring your slip tanks in the back of your trucks because it sounds like you're gonna need it. Cooling capacity, 74 horse, same block. Appears to be the same radiator. Again, just going off the cooling capacity, I find that interesting. See how that works. I mean, hey, the engineers at JCB, I'm sure they got stuff figured out and all that, but I find that a little bit odd that you've got the exact same cooling gallon. The cooling system holds the exact same amount of fluid, because again, that would make the assumption it's the same radiator. Hydraulic system capacity, I guess that doesn't really bother me. Hey, as long as you have the hydraulic cooling capacity there, you know, probably extra oil's not needed for the superflow. Engine oil capacity, that's, we're talking peanuts, it doesn't really matter either way. Now on the transmission, I noticed that the first gear on the 4TS is actually a little bit faster, 6.2 miles an hour versus the 3TS at 5.7 miles an hour. Both in second gear are still 7.8 miles an hour, but like I said, a little bit faster in first gear on the 3TS. I'll take it, I like it. Let's talk about the overall look of this machine. Now obviously the 9 inches appears to be on the back of this machine, the extra overall length, and this comes up way higher. You notice anything here? The AC condenser's been moved on the 4TS. This setup with the dual electric fans, which has been traditional JCB skid steer for quite a while, this is now gone. Obviously the condenser must be in the cooling stack. No more electric fans. I'm actually, I think I like that. As long as, again, as long as the cooling capacity, because one thing you could say is you take away some of the heat, then the heat coming off the condenser is not in with everything else. You've got that kind of separated. As long as it doesn't affect the cooling performance of the 4TS, I like that. Because one thing is, these fans up here, if you're in an environment like me, sticks, leaves, branches, all that junk, I hear it back here, little pieces of sticks making its way through the screen and coming out through the fans. I don't know, I'll probably wind up and have to put new fans in eventually because the blades are probably going to get chewed up over time. We'll see. But that's very interesting. AC's gone. Down here in the cooling stack. Exhaust pipe is obviously moved in right behind the cab. We got ourselves a chrome stack. Well, okay, maybe, I don't know, what is that? Galvanized or what the heck is that? It's shiny. I like it. I like it. Now let's talk about attachments real quick. Now you can see when I'm running on my 3TS, which is the DML SSL, this is basically the correct size head for this machine. Now, if you look at the unveiling photos of the new 4TS, they have their JCB branded black mulching head. Well, you know what? That appears, and I'm pretty sure, I can say this with 99% certainty from different things that I've heard, FAE is making the head and painting it black. It is a UML SSL, which is the next size up. This is as good as it gets in the mulching business. FAE, Prime Tech, like I said, this is as good as it gets. You can't get a better mulching head than FAE. So really happy to see not some cheap head that they're trying to put their name on, putting on quality. It's not going to be cheap. That head is going to be expensive, and it's actually going to be, I'm pretty curious to see what it costs from a JCB dealer versus getting it straight from an FAE dealer like I did in this case. But pretty darn cool. You can see them, JCB, they've got the roof guard, the window guard. They are trying to get back in the mulching business. You know, JCB used to actually have a dedicated mulching rig, the 325. It was discontinued, gone, but like I said, making a comeback, making a point. We're back in the mulching game. We've got the hydraulic power, we got a factory killer head. I'm pretty interested to see what the JCB advertising is going to be with the mulching setup here in the near future. Now, something else that I picked up on the 4TS. I think I saw something about high flow now moves with the boom. Very interesting. On the 3TS, okay, this is your high flow. This is your standard flow over here. High flow does not move with the boom, but standard flow does. If you do not have this sucked all the way in, high flow cannot be activated on the 3TS, which I really don't have any complaints about, because most of the heads that you would need, or attachments that you would use where you would want this extended, like a post hole digger, that sort of thing, you don't need high flow anyway. But it was a customer complaint. I will say that. People said, oh well, you know, the high flow doesn't move with the boom. Well, okay, so it appears, from the research I've done, it now moves out with the boom on the 4TS. So there you go. That's everything I've gathered on the 4TS. I'm sure it's going to be a pricey machine, but you know what? You got a lot of features, you got a lot of stuff in there. No, I will not be trading off my 3TS and my DML anytime soon. Now, hey, I absolutely would if there wasn't the cost involved. It looks like it's going to be a killer rig. And JCB, I think, is making a point. High horsepower. We're in the big skid steer game. We're going to compete with anybody. We're going to try to actually knock you off your pedestal, is what appears to me with this new machine. It's going to be competitive for a long time, more than likely. We're going to find out. Soon as they hit the dealer lots, I am going to try to go see one in person and see if I can get my hands on one and check that thing out. Hey, I'm Bobby J. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, if you want more JCB Teleskid content, go into my archives. I got all kinds of videos, mulching, dirt, forklift, you name it. We're doing it with this machine. Go check it out. See you on the next one.